And welcome to SpeedWeek.
And I'm Bob Jenkins. Rainy weather in the eastern half of the United States caused postponement of several races last weekend, including the Valleydale 500 Grand National race that we were scheduled to televise live for you on ESPN. Now, we will have same-day coverage of that race Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The weather was better, though, in the west.
Bob, the AMA was in action last weekend in two different parts of the Golden State.
The Grand National pros jumped near the glitter capital of Hollywood, racing a TT steeplechase at Ascot Park in Gardena, while the motocross leapers at the state capital in Sacramento, Ascot. Flint, Michigan's Scott Carter lined up the points leader, but it was soon obvious the two plates to beat this night were 44 and 67. The 67 belongs to Bubba Schobert. He finished first or second in the last 12 races last year, including pavement. He completes the first 8 laps in a hurry tonight. The 44, that's Alex Jorgensen, Stockton, California, near Frisco. He's shooting for win 5 here, which would tie him for the most ever. 8 laps in, he fights past and digs away. But somehow, here comes the persistent Schobert, a new record in qualifying, better than 72 miles per hour. Alex set a new record for 10-lap heats. His glances now sense the Honda. The penultimate turn. He'll dart his Rotax down low.
He got a little too sideways and went right in front of me, so the next corner I had no choice but to go high, and he was going to go low to just save his position, and he lost his front end. So I thought I was going to hit his bike because it was sliding out in front of me, but I went around it, and that's the way it goes. Good race.
Youthful Doug Chandler, now a privateer for Freddie Spencer, walks down the aisle second. By the way, he walked down another aisle with the daughter of his chief mechanic, Jerry Griffith, last week too. Next reception will be at Sacramento, where they motocrossed this week.
And we felt it appropriate to salute that event with music. Machine made easy pickings of the 125 field. Mission Viejo's Jeff Ward won the 250s, and Brock Glover was overall champ in the 500s.
Sometimes it seems that part of the personality of racing is self-induced torture, Mike Petula reports.
The Great Mojave 250 gets off to a roaring start just after dawn, with more than 200 drivers anxious to meet the bone-jarring challenge of the desert.
A lot of dust today because the wind died down a little bit.
It's pretty rough out there. It's rougher than Porker was. It's not quite as cold. I'm glad to see the sunshine.
Yeah, just try and keep it on the ground. These cars, you hit the brakes in the dents, they bottom out too easy. They're so low. Go as fast as I can.
The bikes, the desert racers, the trucks, and the all-terrain vehicles hurtle past the start line every 15 seconds. But the drivers are facing each other in ferocious personal battles that are also fought over hundreds of miles of desert instead of a paved racetrack. Each racer has his own ideas on strategy.
So you have to go whatever you have.
Well, there's a lot of rough stuff out there, but there's a lot of good fast running too. So it's going to be a fun day today.
It's pretty rough. It's got some fast spots, but it's got a lot of gotchas out there too, and if you don't watch it, you're going to end up on your roof.
The Great Mojave 250 is the third in a series of 10 major off-road races, more than 200 entries in a variety of machines. The motorcycles are first off the line and complete the circuit first. The trucks are a big favorite with the fans, and the very different desert racers also draw a lot of cheers from the sidelines. It's not too long before the time interval between the front runners evaporates and the slower cars start getting not-so-gentle nudges from faster drivers. The overall winner is Larry Knoll in a Class 1 single-seat Chaparral VW, but there are winners in each of the competing categories. Nothing keeps these drivers from giving it their all in the drive to the checkered flag. This is Mike Botula reporting from Lucerne Valley, California.
Next on Speed Week, Darrell wins the survival of the fittest at Bristol. The national race at Bristol was rained out. Saturday's late model sportsman event was run in unseasonably warm early spring weather. Pole sitter Tommy Ellis set a one-lap qualifying record and was one of 5 former LMS champions in the field. Ellis led the first 10 laps with Jeff Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, and points leader Jimmy Hensley trailing. Darrell Waltrip, car 17, qualified poorly, started 16th but began to move through the field early. Joe Ruttman had engine problems and could run only a little less than half the 200 laps. There were 2 V6s in the field. One was eliminated when Morgan Shepherd blew a motor and hit the guardrail but escaped unhurt. The other, driven by ASA regular Butch Miller, lasted only 64 laps before clutch problems put it behind the wall. Larry Pearson made a few pit stops, with Dad David doing the jack work but finished 5th. Waltrip had moved up to 3rd place when the car suddenly slowed down the front stretch. The car lost a spark plug wire, but Darrell gets back on the throttle and stays within the top 6. At about the same time, Jimmy Hensley experiences problems that will drop him to an 11th place finish. Tommy Ellis nearly loses it while battling with Jack Ingram in turn 3. Tommy will have a more serious incident later. Only 66 laps to go. Bodine and Ingram are up front. Then the 2 cars touch. Bodine is out of the race, and while driving to his pit for repairs, Jack T-bones Robert Ingram Jr., who's coming in for a routine stop. There were 8 lead changes among 6 drivers. Ronnie Silver led a while and finished 3rd. Ellis's frustrating day finally ends when his car slams the end of the pit wall. Waltrip takes the lead on lap 146 and registers a 12.8-second win over Rick Mast. Jimmy Hensley remains atop the late model sportsman point standings. Tommy Houston has moved to 2nd. Larry Pearson is now 3rd, followed by L.D. Ottinger and Jack Ingram.
A.J. Foyt has entered 5 cars for this year's Indianapolis 500, and the cars will carry Copenhagen co-sponsorship. Now, Foyt has yet to name his 2nd driver, but the nod could go to John Paul Jr. Entries have also been received for Rick Mears, Danny Sullivan, and Al Unser Sr. from Roger Penske. The entries deadline is Friday, and so far only 48 entries have been received. Derek Daly will drive for Team Ensign at Long Beach and Indianapolis. The team might compete in other races if sponsorship is found. And there has been no agreement yet between Provimi Racing and Team Lotus. Now, the deadline is Saturday, and if no agreement is reached, the Provimi team will field 1 car, a Lola, with Ari Luyendijk. If an agreement is reached, a 2nd car could go to Teo Fabi. Willie T. Ribb's position with the team still undecided.
Efforts are underway to save the Can-Am Series. Former Can-Am Association President Dan Bartel has been given negotiation rights from SCCA to talk with investors. The main investor appears to be Howard Siegel, a real estate and mortgage banking executive. Siegel told SpeedWeek he is seriously exploring the opportunities, and if he finds them to be real, he will make an honest attempt to keep the Can-Am Series alive. Jim Stanton, president of San Diego Motor Racing Associates, has offered his public relations staff to help in the effort. Bartel has set a personal deadline of 30 days to get the series back on its feet again. He hopes to be able to run the entire series, but if not, he may run 5 or 6 races in the fall and then concentrate on 1986. Meanwhile, the Can-Am 2-liter champion last year, Kim Campbell, will not run the series this year. He'll run a new Anson in the Super V Series.
IMSA debuted its Firestone Firehawk Showroom Stock Series with considerable success. But SCCA may have outdone them. Then again, maybe not.
Hardly Roman Coliseum spectator attendance, but 87 cars took the green. Maybe a record-starting field. Anybody seen one bigger? But here's the rub. As of this writing, still no official winner. The checkered waved over number 99, the Georgia-California combination of John Heinrichsey and Tony Swan. But by Tuesday, independent auditors poring over race tapes. Now, here's what's at stake. The Playboy-sponsored purse, $20,000, but contingencies can push it to $80,000, primarily because of Goodyear. $50,000 if you win on their tires. Now, this has lured some interesting pros. Sterling Moss, out of retirement, and teamed with former Formula One man Ines Ireland. Bob Lobenberg, superfast in Trans Am last year, many from the VW Rabbits, including Kurt Mathewson, and a 3-driver team of Carl, Paul Hacker, and Rick Jackson, Super V'er Jeff McPherson, and Robin McCall and her fiancé, Wally Dallenbach Jr. Corvettes, Porsches dominate this field. Tire size in IMSA doesn't provide for them. The 3-car Morrison Cook team dominated in white Corvettes. Another vet entry, driven by Stuart Hayner and Bill Cooper, led much of the daylight and even into the darkness of this 6-hour race, at least we think. Now, there's a lot at stake. Provisional finish, several cars near the top, all shod with B.F. Goodrich, not $50,000 Goodyears.
One of the support races at Riverside was the Mike Rosen Memorial, featuring WCAR Pro Atlantic cars. The 24-lap race began from a standing start. From row 2, Jimmy Santos in number 12 grabs the lead momentarily but spins into the dirt in turn 2. Dan Marvin in a Aralt, number 1, wins at an average of almost 114 miles an hour. Jeff Wood from Wichita in car 26 is second, and Ron McKay, car 4, finished third.
Third event on the schedule, the West Coast Formula 2000 cars. Carlos Bobeda outqualified this California driver-dominated field, but yellow flags kept it interesting. Tiga, Lolas, Royales, chassis names dominating these cars, most closely resembling smaller Can-Am cars. Randy McDaniel, number 30, timed second and led most of this race. Peter Zacades, in one of the few Swift designs, chased all day long. The late caution also helped number 96, Steve Cameron, but this day belonged to McDaniel.
The second race of the USAC National Supermodified Series was won by Wally Pankratz Saturday night in Bakersfield, California. He now leads the point standings with the next event scheduled for the same track May 8th. Pankratz escaped injury in a flip the next night in a USAC midget race at Ascot Park. Brad Knopfsinger edged Sleepy Trip for the win. George Snyder's quest for the USAC Sprint and Championship dirt car titles was set back recently. He was fired from the Damon Fortune ride and replaced with last year's driver Rick Hood. Actor Paul Newman, a regular on the Trans Am circuit, drove a couple of sprint cars at Ascot Park earlier this week. His best lap was around 21 seconds, about 3 seconds off the track record. We'll have more on this story next week.
The opener of the NASCAR modified season was last weekend at Thompson, Connecticut, and it was won by 8-time champion Richie Evans after a race-long duel with Jeff Fuller. And the second race of the Stroh's NDRA circuit was held at Kingsport, Tennessee Saturday. That's near Bristol. The race went down to a last-lap fender banger and saw Freddie Smith edge Jeff Purvis. He had led the second half of the 100-lapper. Billy Moyer is now the points leader.
Coming up on Speed Week, Carson loses the NCRA opener on the last lap.
And a preview of the Formula One season with Jackie Stewart. Stay with us.
Season opener, the Spring Nationals at Fairground Speedway in Oklahoma City, was a near-flawless performance for Shane Carson until the last lap. When the green dropped on the field for the 50-lap A main, Greg Woolley in car 75, the Oklahoma City champion in 1983, took the lead, with Donnie Crawford, the 1984 Tulsa track champ, second. Woolley brings out the first caution after hitting the wall in turn 3. Carson in car 76 takes the lead on the restart and quickly pulls away from the rest of the field. By the midway point, he's a half lap ahead. The red flag comes out on lap 35 when Mike Gijo slams the barrier, and that allows everyone to change tires. Carson resumes the dominance after the green flies again, but look at the left rear. The tire is going flat, and Carson has to slow down. The white comes out. Only one more circuit. Can he hold off second place Mike Peters? In the fourth turn, the shredded tire comes off. Peters slips by and wins by a car length.
I seen him maybe slowing down a little bit. We was picking him up a little, but I knew there wasn't no way I was going to catch him in time to, to catch him before the checkered. But when I seen his tire go down, I just tried everything I could to catch him in time to get by him.
John Johnson finished third in the race. Crawford was fourth and Bob Ewell fifth.
NASCAR will combine its Winston West and All-American Challenge Series for a 200-kilometer event at Sears Point Raceway on April 28th. The Challenge Series will allow cars from SCCA's Trans Am division as long as they are American-made. Look for more Buick V6s to show up in Trans Am or the NASCAR Late Model Sportsman Series if the Can-Am Series folds. Buick is coming out with a 24-valve head that will power a 2-seater passenger car in 1987. The head has 4 valves per cylinder and probably will be a very big hit with the racers.
Approval is expected next month for a multi-purpose racetrack in San Diego. It will include a 1.3-mile oval and a 2.65-mile road course. If approved, the track could open later this year. 2 Can-Am races are scheduled there next year. Mickey Thompson is moving his off-road show from L.A. County Fairgrounds to Orange Showgrounds in San Bernardino. The Fairgrounds is expanding its horse racing track, and Thompson is the victim. And the 4th FIA World Rally event scheduled to begin this week. The Safari Rally in Nairobi, Kenya will continue through Monday. Ari Vatanen in a Peugeot won the first 2 events this year. His teammate Timo Salonen of Finland won the other event.
The first of 14 live Formula One races will be on ESPN this Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. So with Saturday's same-day coverage of the Valleydale 500 NASCAR race, it promises to be another big weekend of auto racing. Jackie Stewart, 3-time past world driving champion, will join ESPN for several Formula One races this year. So here's Jackie with his predictions.
It's going to be an exciting new year. Niki Lauda is the reigning world champion. I don't think he's going to win the world championship this year because it's very difficult to do that. Only in 1959 and 60 did Jack Brabham able to put together 2 years championships back to back. I never was able to do it, and neither has Niki Lauda before. I think Alan Prost has the best chance to be world champion. He's going to be driving the McLaren car with the TAG Porsche engine, and he looks like he's ready to win the world championship. However, Nelson Piquet, in my opinion, probably is the best driver in the world at this moment. He's going to be driving the Brabham with a BMW engine. It's all a question of tyres. It's a battle between Goodyear and Pirelli this year. It depends how well the tyres of the Brabham stand up, and of course how reliable his engine is. Outside chance, well, not too far outside is Ferrari, who are very competitive with Michele Alboreto, the young Italian driving for Ferrari, as well as Arnoux, the other driver. That's going to be a hot team for 85. As an outside chance, Derek Warwick in the Renault. He could be very good. So that's what it looks like for this year, at least to begin with. But of course, a lot of things can happen in the 14 races that we're going to be covering you in ESPN. I look forward to seeing you in that season, and I think you're going to enjoy it.
And we're very happy to have the expertise of any 3-time world champion in our Formula One telecast.
And that brings us to this week's trivia question. Who is the only driver to win more world championships than Jackie Stewart? A. Jack Brabham, B. Juan Manuel Fangio, C. Alberto Ascari, D. Jim Clark, or E. Graham Hill? Larry will have the answer in a moment.
Here's the answer to this week's trivia question. Jack Brabham also has 3 world championships to his credit. Ascari has 2, as does Jim Clark and Graham Hill. But the answer is B, Juan Manuel Fangio, who won 5 titles in 7 years between 1951 and 1957.
This show marks the first anniversary of Speed Week. During the past year, we've tried to keep you up to date on racing news and race results. There have been some humorous moments, though, and with that thought in mind, here is the best of for our first year. We give the best display of the Green Flag Award to diamond broker Tommy Vanskoy at Pocono. The best display of aerodynamics on a race car award goes to Bobby Allison, also at Pocono. The best headline alignment award goes to John Buffum in the Costa Smeralda Rally. The best job of parking was shown during the Tumwater Rally in Olympia, Washington. Best way to tell a pit crew member to get out of the way, Harry Gant at Pocono. Best way to negotiate a water hazard, the Blackwater Scramble in West Virginia. The gold medal for synchronized spinning goes to this trio at San Air Speedway in Canada. Emerson Fittipaldi wins the award for the best communication with a race official. And Willie T. Ribbs wins the first annual Speed Week Breakdancing Award.
A unique personality. And we promise to make just as much effort in 1985 to keep you informed about the world of motorsports. Again, a reminder, we'll have same-day coverage of the Valleydale 500 from Bristol, Tennessee this Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Larry Newberg.
And I'm Bob Jenkins. Don't forget the Formula One race from Rio, live at 11:30 Eastern Time Sunday morning. See you next week on Speed Week. We leave you with some action from last week, including the high banks of Bristol International Raceway.
Speed Week has been brought to you